Yes. Mhm. Could you get me every application for employment at the FBI and Homeland Security? Yes. A lot of individuals knowing about their personal background and their individual situations, they would never want to tell you that their own parents falsified their marriage license. Mhm. But I think it does matter. Yes. Growing up in a family where both parents had intentionally lied before I was born. Yes. It could set some sort of normalcy. Yeah, that lying is okay. Now, I did include that U.S. Code 1001. But it looks like you're really trying to harass me. Yeah. Now, Sunday is Father's Day, and as a father, I want my family. Yeah. And I included about 1,000 emails involving Atlanta outreach. Yes. And then there's my old public defender that didn't defend me because I wasn't in swim. Yes. Wouldn't admit the evidence that I was in Port Angeles that day. Yes. And wouldn't motion the court because I was not given any due process. Ouch. Heidi Lee Budnick, yes, the petitioner didn't sign the protection order. Ouch. And there is forgeries of the ex officio Superior Court clerk and quite possibly Brent Basden himself. Yes. Now, get the employees of Chicago outreach of the ice.dhs.gov. Yeah. Now, I did get some auto responses from Buffalo. Ouch. Dallas. Oh. And then Houston. Ouch. And then there's the Supreme Court of Washington State that I've emailed for 100,000 times. Justice Madsen, that is no longer the Supreme Court Justice. Yes. Justice Wiggins. Ouch. How's your bow tie? Justice Gonzalez, that Hispanic Supreme Court Justice. Yes. Justice Gordon McLeod. And then Justice Owens. Right. And then a personal friend that I went to college with. Yeah. hmm And then the Los Angeles outreach of ICE. Oh, then there's Mary Yu, Supreme Court Justice of Washington State. Yes. Then the Miami outreach. Oh, and the New Orleans outreach. Yes. And the New York outreach. Of Homeland Security. Poop. And then there's the Office of Civil Rights in Seattle, Washington. Then there's the Philadelphia outreach of Homeland Security, the Phoenix outreach of Homeland Security, yes, the Portland Federal Bureau of Investigation, ouch, and then there's the Salt Lake City outreach of Homeland Security, yeah, and the San Diego outreach of Homeland Security, yes. Now, San Francisco outreach of Homeland Security, yes. And then there's the Seattle Federal Bureau of Investigation. And then the Seattle outreach of the Department of Homeland Security. Yes. Then there's the St. Paul, Minnesota outreach of Homeland Security. Oh, and then there's the U.S. Army Huachuca. Yes. Now that was the voting part of Huachuca. Yeah, there in Yuma, Arizona. Yes. Where do you get your water at? Because it seemed to me that when I was looking at my great grandfather, yeah, I found the actual marriage announcement to his wife Josephine. Yes. And it was a really nice marriage. I mean, they really put it on. And that would have meant that Ed, my Budnick, was born in a few years after that marriage. Yes. And quite possibly, yes, considering his brother John. 14 years age difference. Now, I think that my grandfather, Edward Budnick, had the support of his father until he was about 40 years old. Now, I'm just guesstimating. Yes, he is. And I think Homeland Security does know who I am. Yes, because I thought right now, do you know a misprison of treason? Mhm. Now, the voters pamphlet for the Secretary of State of Washington. Yes, I would think that the Secretary of State of the state of Washington has a right to make sure, yes, that there is no misprison of felony. And if it involves any oath of office, they cannot use as a malicious defense their refusal to enforce forgery laws, yes, fraud laws, kidnapping laws, yes, falsification of marriage license laws, yes, And then there was, let me see here. Oh, the Washington, D.C. outreach of the Department of Homeland Security. Now, I'm going to need to know every employee of Homeland Security since 2003. Yes, every phone number, ooch, and then all applicants to apply for Homeland Security employment, ooch, their cell phone numbers, and then I'd like to know the chin of all of them. Chinny, chin, chin. Now, the Young Lawyers Division of the American Bar Association. Yes. See, 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, before the arrest and the malicious prosecution, yes, and now the malicious defense that I'm experiencing, yes, I thought that the employees in office number 3 would be recent graduates of law school, yes, and they all would have graduated within 7 years of the employment in my actual office. I wanted recent graduates of law school, yes. Young women, yes, approximately 22 to 29, maybe 30 years old, yes, that had very little legal experience, so that all of the experience that they had in the office when they come to work each month, yes, would give them this hands on appreciation for the law.